Hello, how are you? Welcome to Old People This Week. My name is Jeff, and that dandy-looking fellow right there, former Mr. Universe, that's Paul. How you doing, Paul?
I am good today, Jeff, and yourself.
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
We are your hosts. Old People This Week is a podcast for baby boomers, the most brilliant people in the world. But if you're not a boomer and you're watching this, then that's good because you'll learn something. Every Thursday, we give you all the dirt. We spoon feed you, as a matter of fact, all the stories, the dirt, the info that you'll need to sound smart this weekend. When you're speed walking around the mall, playing mahjong, you're in the dentist office, or, of course, if Mike was here, he'd tell you what he's doing, which is hanging out at happy hour. But
Yes,
Mike
indeed.
is not here. There's a void where the big man usually sits because, yeah, he's not there. He's gone. Where is Mike? Well, I'll tell you, he started texting us to say he's sick and that he couldn't do the show today, which is terrible, of course, but he's allegedly sick, by the way. We don't know what caused this thing.
Bird flu. Bird
Yeah,
flu.
bird flu. Kind of bird flu you get at happy hour. Whatever, he's not around. And I had things to talk to him about too. I have this picture I'm going to show right now of Mike from his wedding reception with the cake that's got 1,000 little curls on it. And the people wrote to me, what the hell kind of cake was that? And as you can see from Mary's reaction, she didn't know either. Um, but without Mike, we'll just get it on. But Mike,
Yeah,
Paul and I will take care of everything you need to know this week, so don't worry about it.
there you go.
All right. All right. This past weekend was the Grammys. Now I'm going
Yes.
to take an aside here to talk about the two people that you're staring at. Paul, there, myself, have probably been on more red carpets than any other human beings you'll ever know because for years I was in charge of live coverage at E Entertainment Television. We did at least five majors a year, which was the
Hmm.
Emmys, the Grammys, the SAGs, the Oscars, and the Golden Globes every
Right.
year. And then plus we do some movie ones. And I came over years to absolutely hate live the red carpet because actors are phony baloney and they're just if you ever want to see how phony baloney a human being can become when they become an actor, then just go on a red carpet
Yeah.
and listen to them being interviewed.
I
But
do
anyway,
say, I gotta say though, I do love them for the live television aspect. I mean, going in there with, jumping in the deep end of the pool with no script or anything. I used to love that. It was
yeah.
like, you just had commercial breaks at the bottom of the page, and it was just like, wake me up in an hour. I
Yeah.
mean,
But
my favorite part.
that's why Seacrest was so freaking good at his job because we would set him out there and he wouldn't know who he was going to talk to,
Right.
when he was going to talk to him, how long he was going to talk to him. He didn't know what they were going to say because none of it was scripted.
No.
And he would completely handle it like a pro. You could just say, "Okay, here, walking up
Yeah.
here is Angelina Jolie. Go over and start talking to her," and he
No,
could
it's
do
a
it.
it's a true gift. I mean, you had Seacrest, I had Dick Clark, on so many of these, and it was always just an unbelievable task that my classic line I always say that Dick Clark shared for me one of the first times I was downtown at the Shrine Auditorium for one of these red carpets. I think it was the American Music
That's the
Awards.
SAGs or something there.
Yeah, well, it was the American Music Awards actually, and I remember, and I looked up to Dick all my career, right? Because I started doing cue cards on American Bandstand and Right Place, Right Time, the rest of it into, like producing these red carpet shows. But he looked at me and then went out to to the position and then said to me on the headset, "Hey, Paul," 30 seconds before air, he says to me, "Hey, Paul, you just tell me who these people are and we'll be fine." Three, two, one. Great story.
Yeah, yeah, that's you're right. That the thrill of live television, which by the way I got involved with when I met you the first time in 1984. You had me out in the field twice a week doing those wacky hits
Yeah,
on
yeah.
microwave truck. With that, by the way, was even worse because we had one camera. There's nothing to cut to, and we had Eric. I'm not even going to say his last name. Eric B. The
Yeah.
talent to
Hmm.
try to make the whole thing make sense, which was incredible. But anyway,
I know.
All right, so the Grammys this
Yeah.
past week on the red carpet, as usual, the goof. By the way, I worked at Grammys one time at E, and we didn't have a. It was before we got Seacrest, and we used Kathy Griffin.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
right. Now, Kathy Griffin was not afraid to say anything or do anything.
Not at
So
all.
this was a Grammys, probably I'll say 2008 or nine or something, and it was they were the special guests that night were Led Zeppelin. It was basically a tribute to Led Zeppelin. Now, Kathy Griffin, of course, is supposed to be representing E, and she's supposed to know everything. Well, here comes the four members of Led Zeppelin up to her, and she decides it's funny to act like she doesn't know who they are. So she starts going, what's the name of your band again? What kind of music do you play?" Well, Robert Plant and those guys weren't laughing. It was like went over like a lead balloon. Oh,
Oh my gosh.
not as much as a lead balloon though as this fool Jaden
Oh yeah.
Smith. All right, so Jaden Smith comes walking up there, and as they put it in here. Oh, here we go. Jaden Smith waltzed onto the Grammys red carpet early on Sunday night in a demure black Louis Vuitton suit with, well, a castle on his head. Yes, a castle. It's the most ridiculous looking thing. I'm showing it now I don't know why. It makes no rhyme or reason. Do you have any idea? Was he high? What was he going through his head to wear that wear
No
a
idea.
castle on his head?
No
I mean,
idea.
does it mean something? I mean, is it a protest? Is it an anti-government thing? What was it about?
The answer to that is not on the internet. I have not found it.
No. So this palatial headpiece was sculpted by the woman by the name of Dora Abodi, a designer who hails, and I'm not joking, from Transylvania. And on her website, it's called the Wearable Vampire Castle Headpiece, and it's sold for 4,500 euros, which is about 4,600 American dollars. And as of the last time I looked, there was still one. She still had one to
Yeah.
sell. So this dude, Jaden Smith, buys one of these off some woman from Transylvania as it's shipped to him, sticks it on his head, and goes walking on the Grammys.
I don't get it. I just don't. And you know what? It's out there. It's everywhere, along with Kanye's wife. That's the other shot that was shared everywhere around the world. But oh my gosh, the castle. I don't understand.
Yeah, nobody understands it. All right. So the first thing I want to get into, I don't even have a rant this week because what you sent me, I think these what's called mobility units, which are these tiny little
Yeah.
cars. Now, for people out there who don't know, I'm going to tell a little story. If you go, I went to Costco. I don't go to Costco very often because it's just insanity. But I went to Costco over the holidays, and on top of the madhouse it was anyway, just because there were so many more people there to shop, there are people in these carts that have baskets in front of them, and they're big carts. They're like motorized. They're like you would pull up in a car to get the gas in them or something. They're big. They're not small. And then when they ride abreast of each other, and which they do, and they talk, they block whole aisles at Costco.
Hmm.
And then the story I told was how much I hated them was that I went to the men's room at Costco, and this dude weighed about 800 pounds in one of those things, tries to bring that inside this small bathroom, and he gets it in there, and he pushes his way through, and he parks it right next to a urinal, drags his fat ass out of the cart, takes a pee, gets back into it, and then puts it in reverse, and it goes beep, 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 and he backs out of this crowded men's room. So anyway, so I don't like these things. But now here is a video that you sent me of what they're looking like nowadays, or how much you can spend on one of these if you are so inclined. Here it goes.
Luxury car mobility scooters are redefining style and independence. Who says practicality can't be paired with a touch of extravagance? Designed with inspiration from luxury sports cars, these scooters combine sleek aesthetics with everyday functionality, making them perfect for those who live life with flair. With ergonomic seats for comfort and a compact, maneuverable design, these scooters glide effortlessly through parks, neighborhoods, or even grocery aisles.
And that's just. I didn't get the price. Did you get the price on those things, Paul?
I did not.
Yeah, they're pretty ambitious. They look a lot like the luxury cars. I wonder if they had to get licensed to do that. I mean, licensed from Mercedes to make it look like Mercedes or so on. And I wonder I wonder what they cost. I'm going to try to find out what they cost, and I'll add the addendum to the bottom of this thing. A lower third is what one of these things costs because they look super fancy. I don't
Right.
care about that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think that old people, like young people, just go crazy sometimes, and they get things they don't need, and that's one of them.
I think geographically, you'd be amazed to see that they probably sell more in Arizona and Florida than anywhere else. I can't imagine, I can see these things going through those, Del Webb communities where they're all like living together and they're all just in their golf cart fronts and,
That place in Fort. It's called the Village. There's like
yeah,
100,000 people over 60 there, and that's all they use. I don't think the streets are even for cars. They just use their little carts, and they just run there all over the place.
right.
Now you can look good when you drive around there.
You'd be
All
the
right,
talk, you'd be the talk of the village.
talk of the village. So I've been knowing my wife for 30 odd years, and anytime I have ever walked up to her in the past 30 to 35 years and said, "Can I ask you something?" Or if I said, "Can I ask you a question?" She has the same answer every time. She goes, "Yes, you're a total fag." Now, before you go into what is, I go, what? I could never understand this. It turns out she's always said that because it's from a scene in 16 Candles where Anthony Michael Hall is, constantly hanging around and bugging the hell out of Molly Ringwald.
Right.
And
Yeah.
she goes off on her own because she's despondent that the Jake Ryan character isn't doesn't really want to get to know her. She doesn't know, she's all bummed out. She's a senior and everything's going wrong. And he comes up, Anthony Michael Hall walks up to her and he goes, "Can I ask you a question?" And she looks at him and she goes, "Yes, you're a total fag." And you know what Anthony Michael Hall says back to her? He goes, "That wasn't the question."
Yeah.
Anyway, that movie is one of the all-time greats. It's my wife's all-time favorite movie. And it is a comedy classic. Joan Cusack is in it, playing. She has a neck brace on. You have to see
Yeah.
it to believe it. It's funny
You
movie.
and folks, after you're done watching this podcast and subscribing, you will go back like I did this morning and watch it for 90 minutes of its every scene is a classic. Every line is written. The performance, I mean, there's scenes like the vodka gimlet scene in the kitchen is just like he's 15 years old and he's acting like he's 45, and then I'm sorry, the best name ever for a character in any movie was Long Duck
Duck
Dong.
dong, long duck dong. No. At any rate, the reason this all came up is because it's his 40th anniversary of this movie, and because Michael Scheffling, who plays Jake Ryan in the movie, the basically the love interest of Molly Ringwald and the guy who made millions of young millennial women swoon, he just turned 65.
Yeah.
He was 23 when he played high schooler Jake Ryan, so he's a little older. He made a few more movies after it, then decided he didn't want anything to do with Hollywood. He moved to a small town in Pennsylvania and has a woodworking shop. He got married to this model and actress, Valerie C. Robinson, who's gorgeous, by the way. I'll show you her picture. And they have two children, Scarlett and son Zane. And Scarlett, by the way, took her mom's looks and some of her dad's, and she's a model signed with the Lane Ford agency, and she works, the runway. So anyway, so the old Jake Ryan is now in Pennsylvania making furniture, if you wondered. Okay, now to switch to the more serious part of this thing, about this podcast today, and this is another lesson for all the dumb generations after us. You've all become too extremely attached to your phones. And the phone is a gateway to a lot of new addictive behaviors we're seeing in every other generation but boomer generations. Online sports betting has exploded. Pornography use is up even as actual sex is down. I don't know how they measured that, but they said it. And a study that just says that as of 2024, Gen Zers spent 6 to 7 hours a day scrolling on average. So they're totally screwed.
Well, and yesterday, I believe I was watching the news out of New York last night, and they were talking about, banning the cell phones in the classroom.
Yeah, good.
And it was tested, I think, with 300 kids between 12 and 18 that they were losing 90 minutes a day of school time to the phone. 90 minutes.
90 minutes. You can't get that back either. You're going
And
to
of
rack
course,
up.
it's all about socializing and getting out and, not being on the device. But, we're going to have parents who are going to argue that they need it for safety's sake.
No.
And,
You can get phones that can
you
just
know,
that don't have access to the internet. And by the way, there's nothing social about social media. It's the exact opposite. You want to
yeah,
be social, go out there and meet somebody, shake their hand, have a drink with them, talk to them. Don't sit there on the phone making some short letters like LOL and all kinds of stuff.
exactly.
All right. So along with this, Paul and Mike and I had been talking that it's our responsibilities now just to stop just yelling at other generations, but to actually try to teach them. So we're starting to come up with some boomer rules. And here's the first five. We're gonna come up with more on maybe not on a weekly basis, but as they come up, and there'll be rules for you to live by. And please take them down. And if you forget them or you forgot them or something, just you can email us at oldpeoplethisweek@gmail.com, and I'll be glad to run them down for you. Number one, yes, there is work-life balance. You work hard and then you play hard. That's work-life balance.
Hmm.
Number two, show up, do your work. Simple.
Yes. Simple.
Yeah. Number three, don't whine. Don't whine. Mike whines, though, but we'll put that past him, though. We'll give him a break because he was born before electricity. All right. Number four, if you want validation, don't look around at someone else. Look in the mirror. That's where you're only going to get your validation from. You don't need to hear it from someone else.
Hmm.
And number five, keep your promises. If you make a promise, keep it. That's the first five boomer rules. There'll be more coming as they come into our heads.
Good rules for life. That's what I would say.
Life. I'm going to have them
Absolutely.
inscribed on tablets, and I'll bring them down from the mountain for you if you want. They're serious.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I do believe that, look, work is a fact of life. We all have to work in order to have a life, and I think that's the first thing that has to get through a lot of, younger generations, that if you're not happy doing what you're doing, find something you are happy doing, right? Find happiness in that. And, move on, but don't just sit there and get to your next thing, which is whine. Don't come to me every day and say, oh, I'm tired of this.
Yeah. Yeah. Quit whining. Do your job. Shut up. Don't be entitled. By the way, nothing's going to be given to you. You got to work for it. There's a million reasons. I could update my own list right now just from things I'm thinking of at this very minute.
Sure, sure.
No, well, I won't though, because I have something more important to talk about.
Update.
That's right, a monkey update. I've been talking about this for weeks now, maybe months, about the fact that I believe the only conspiracy theory I believe in. I don't believe in a lot of these, crazy ones that are the government ones or any, 9/11 ones or anything. I do believe this one is that Planet of the Apes has started, and it started where monkeys are starting to take over, and it's happening down there in South Carolina, where there are literally thousands of monkeys living in these secret facilities all over the state, and it would have stayed secret, but 43 of these monkeys got away and were hiding out in the woods there. Well, they got out there right after that, and they said, "Oh, this is nothing. These monkeys, they hadn't gone anywhere. They're just living in the trees outside the facility, and we're going to lure them back in." Wrong. It was all a lie. They got into the community, all over the community, and then there's stories coming from these communities in South Kakalaki that some of these monkeys are speaking English, and people are missing guns and ammo. So what does that tell you? I'll tell you what it tells you is that these monkeys are turning into Caesars out there. He's speaking English, and he's got his minions out there stealing guns and ammo from your house, and they're going to go after us pretty soon.
I did not even realize that, beyond, I thought they had captured him, and I thought the story's done with, it's all over, until, the button to your story here, which is...
Yeah. Yeah. So then they go to the facility. They finally, some real authorities get down there. They go into the facility. What they find? I'll tell you what they found. They found monkey bodies stacked up like Tetris, as they put it, Tetris blocks. And the headline reads, Feds silent after 21 reported deaths at South Carolina monkey farm.
Yeah.
So here's what I think. I think that those 21 that were killed were probably tortured to try to get information about the Caesar and the talking ones. And then when they didn't give up Caesar, they got killed for it. So I'm not going down to South Kakalaki, and you're nuts for living there because you're going to wake up one morning and there's going to be a monkey at the end of the bed pointing a gun at you.
That's right. I'll start locking my back door.
Locking it. Put a monkey cam out there just in case.
Well, yeah, true about that.
We demand the truth, and we want to know it now about these monkeys. So anybody who's out there listening, by the way, of our hundreds of subscribers, if you know anything about this monkey situation, or if you've run into a monkey and he accidentally said something in English to you, let me know because I want to know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Email us about your monkey encounters.
Yeah.
In detail.
Wearing clothes. They look like Mike because their hair's all short. All right. So last week we talked about an incredible story from down in Florida, of course, where this elementary school principal by the name of Elizabeth Hill Brodigan holds a party at her house for kids. And they're all drinking and they're all going crazy at this party. Well, new details have come out. Listen to this. New details emerged about an alleged alcohol-fueled party held at an elementary school principal's house where fights broke out. One teen got so drunk he needed medical attention, and another teen pointed a gun at a partygoer. You imagine this party, all these drunk tweens, running around with guns and drinking beer. And the principal's supposed to be running. And evidently they found one of the third grade teachers from her school also dead on the ground drunk. Oh, my God. So Elizabeth was charged with child neglect, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, and holding a quote-unquote open house party, Cocoa Beach, police said in a press release. So here, I'm going to...
16 candles 40 years later. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they didn't do that at 16 Candles. Well, you had some little bit of weirdness going on, but not like they have nowadays.
No.
So their mugshot. So here's the mugshot of Elizabeth Hill Brodigan, and it's pretty bad. And I got to thinking about mugshots in general. Now,
Yeah.
Paul, you look like you have a mugshot right there. There it is.
This is seriously, this is something I've thought about like when I see people who have mugshots, some I know, and others I don't. I always think they strike a pose, and it's the funniest thing to me. It's like, our own president, right, strikes one mugshot, but it's very interesting to see how some people look.
Trump's looks pretty arrogant. He's he's got his shit together. But there's other one up. Just to show you, though, now that you brought it up, let's look at a few mugshots. 5 of them, as a matter of fact. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is the one, the only Godfather of Soul, James Brown.
Yes.
Look at that look. On September 24th of what I think it was 1988, Brown entered an insurance seminar in Augusta, Florida. Why he was James Brown's at an insurance seminar, I don't know. He was armed with a shotgun and a pistol and ordered everyone to leave. He then took off in a pickup truck and attempted to outrun police, who chased him into South Kakalaki, of course, where the monkeys are hiding out, and then back into Georgia. Even after police had shot out 3 of his tires, Brown continued to drive on the wheel rims until he ended up in a ditch 6 miles outside of town. After the incident, his wife said, and this is an understatement of the year, he was not in his right mind.
How many have said that?
Yeah. All right, number 4, Snoop Dogg. In 1983, Snoop Dogg was charged with first-degree murder, by the way, for shooting of a member of a rival gang who was actually killed by Snoop Dogg's bodyguard. But then he got this picture taken. It's not like the Snoop Dogg you saw at the Olympics last summer, by the way. This is the Snoop Dogg when he was still one step removed from the street.
It's not the Snoop Dogg you see on The Voice today at all.
No, he's a big shot. No. Number 3, Robert Downey Jr. He looks kind of silly in this family out in Malibu. husband, wife, daughter come home after a night out of dinner. You know, they come home, they enter their house, they walk in, they hear noises in the house, they go into the daughter's bedroom, and there sleeping in the daughter's bed is Robert Downey Jr. He was so messed up that he was heading towards his own place in Malibu, got confused, walks into someone else's house, gets into their daughter's bed, and falls asleep. He got arrested for that. And that's what this thing is for. What a nut. All right, and then here's your old girlfriend, Heather Locklear. Heather Locklear she'd been arrested and booked on allegations of felony domestic battery and 3 counts of battery. The cops showed up at her house, and her boyfriend had the crap kicked out of him, and they arrested her.
Oh, what once was. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
But here is my all-time favorite mugshot ever taken. This crazy-looking Nick Nolte, who I thought was, by the way, when I was growing up, I thought Nick Nolte was a huge, big, cool star. But he got himself all messed up on alcohol, evidently. And they arrested him on the Pacific Coast Highway, and then they took this picture. He says, by the way, when this article about it is, he said they asked him if he could take a picture as a fan, and he said, yeah, go ahead. That's what this was. That wasn't a mugshot. But here's the classic, is even before they picked him up, he had gone to an afternoon's Alcoholic Anonymous meeting in the church near his house, and he felt the intoxicating effects of a psychoactive drug called GHB, which had become illegal 2 years earlier, kicking in. So instead of staying at the meeting, he gets in his car, starts driving up Pacific Coast Highway, and then in quotes it says, he wrote this, by the way, I'm told 6 drivers called 911 to report a big sedan weaving on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah.
Nick. God. All right. That's pretty good.
The many lives of Nick Nolte.
Nick Nolte, you have to have that hair, kind of crazy hair. That's the best nutty thing ever.
Definitely.
All right. So, Paul, this is you sent this one, which is, of course, stupid but funny at the same time. Shania Bennett, pregnant, loves donuts, lives down in Alabama near the Florida border. You can imagine what that's like. There's near the part of Florida that's over under Alabama is called the Redneck Riviera, by the way. You can imagine what that's about, Pensacola area. And for some whenever wacky reason, there's a big snowstorm going on, and Shania is 8.5 months pregnant, wakes up, takes a shower, and all of a sudden she goes, I'm going to have this baby. So she calls her obstetrician's office, no answer. So she tells her partner, Keon Mitchell, let's head for the hospital, only they don't make it. On the drive there, her water breaks. She looks around. She's at the intersection of the Krispy Kreme donut shop that she loves. And she tells Keon, go pull over there in the Krispy Kreme. I'm having this baby. So she pulls over in there, and within seconds, she dropped that baby right into Keon's hands, and he delivered it for her. And then he just waited for the police to show up, for EMT people to show up and cut the umbilical cord. That's how much it was. That's how quick it was.
There you go.
Yeah, I wish.
There you go.
I have 4 kids, and each one of the pregnancies would go on for 24 to 36 hours of hell. And this woman goes into a Krispy Kreme parking lot and drops the baby within 30 seconds. So they nicknamed the baby Glaze because the manager of the donut shop said he'd give him a dozen donuts every week for a year in honor of this baby being born.
And for the rest of that child's life, how did he get the name Glaze?
We'll tell them the story. They'll stop using that name. As soon as the donuts run out, they'll stop using the name Glaze. All right. What am I going to talk about now? All right. So the social media screw up of the week, and I love this one. It's good. Yeah. Well, it took place actually over in Italy, of all places. But there's an influencer. Her name is Rita Del Crescenzo. And she posts videos over in Italy, up in the Alps there, about getting people to want to be excited about going skiing. So she starts posting about how much snow there is at this resort called Roccasaro, or Roccaraso, rather. So what happens is, and to make a long story short, influencers start saying, oh, there's snow, you should come up. All these tour companies in Naples, literally that same day, put out the word, We're sending buses up there. If you're interested in getting out of Naples or just going to do something different, we're going to go up there. The next day, 220 tour buses, each bus holding like 80 people on there, converge on this tiny little town that the influencer, by the way, after getting all these people all hepped up and psyched up about this thing, she left. She's not even there. So all these drunk Italian tour buses pull in there, and they're taking over the town. They don't have skis. They don't have ski passes. So they just start running up and down the slopes and sliding up and down them on things like trays that you would have in the cafeteria, or literally saucepans, it said. Imagine this place is bedlam. People drinking over. They started fires on the mountain so they could keep warm. And that's social media for you. And this is not a famous person. This was an obscure
Yeah.
influencer who talks about something specific, that is how much fun you can have in the snow. And she caused this. And she wasn't even there to help with it. But it is amazing what an influencer can do. I just read a thing about some TikTok influencer, a young woman who does makeup demonstrations, is made like 17 million last year. I'm going to start putting makeup on this face. Maybe I can get some people be an influencer, make some 17 million a year.
Yeah, once we get out of the winter, yeah, sure.
We got a way to get rid of these cables in my neck, though. Maybe I could put something around the back of my neck to pull my neck straight.
Get some clothespins for you.
We should do that. We should have more products on here than be influencer for old boomers as to what to be wearing. Like Mike would probably be more than happy to talk about the benefits of wearing Crocs.
There you go.
Crocs. See, there's
Crocs.
things I can't sell because I just
Sponsored.
find them incredibly stupid.
Just our luck. We get Crocs as a sponsor.
Crocs is a sponsor. Mike would love that. He'd get freak Crocs. Oh, man. All right, for the Florida man story this week,